Hey everybody, this is Dr. Angela, the author Incubator, and I am so excited to be joined today by newly minted, best-selling author, Kelli Reese. Kelli, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Kelli is the author of The Destiny Roadmap, the little guidebook to face your fears, embrace change, and discover your calling. Kelli, tell us about your book.
This book is about where we are when one door is closed and another one has yet to open. And that can be a really scary place, and we don't often talk about that place. We talk about what's on the other side of that place or where we were when we were leaving and the door closed. So I really wanted to write a book.
The vestibule in between.
Yeah, I wanted to write a book about that place, and I call that place the void. It's a little scary and a little dark when we arrive. But I wanted to give people tools for how to navigate that space with clarity and confidence and make choices with where their heart wants to be.
Do you remember the first time that you entered the void, where you were?
Yes. I've been there a number of times. I've been there a lot, and it wasn't without a ton of fear, and I always made it to the other side, but there was this constant chatter in my head about, everything I was doing, the choices I was making, and how I was doing it, and it was just...
But for me, because I remember it very clearly, I think I was 23, 24, something like that, and there's no label on the door that says it's the void.
Right.
So I was pretty sure this is how it's going to be forever.
Right, yeah.
Which is just such a terrifying prospect.
Right. Yeah, you have no idea there's like some other place that
right.
you can
So
get
like
to.
this is, I remember describing it to my friends. I was saying, when you're in middle school, even though it sucks, the next thing that happens after middle school is you're going to high school. And when you're in high school, you're going to college. And then I remember getting out of college and I was thinking I'll get a great job and then I'll get promotions and then I'll get married and have babies. Like I thought it was all planned out. And it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
So I was like, I see how people get stuck in like grad school forever. Because I was like, it felt like, I'm like, oh, so you just drop off a cliff and then that's it? You're in that space between the cliff forever?
Right. Exactly.
It feels like there's no way out. So when people are there, and I talked about my first time being in my 20s, but obviously you get to revisit for your whole life many times the void.
Exactly.
What's one of the things now that you've become an expert about this liminal time in life? What's one of the things that you see people do that seems instinctively like the right thing to do that you now are like, oh, if only you didn't do that thing.
God, yeah. I see people believe that they can stay where they are. A lot of times, some people can and they're fine, but some people really are already in the void before they even realize it. And they feel this call, this like magnetic pull to be doing something else. And they just totally ignore that call and they stay stuck exactly where they are, and they're just caught in a life that no longer fits. And basically they wake up 5 years later and they're like, God, why am I so unhappy and so unfulfilled? And it's like, because your soul is calling for you to do something else and you're actually just ignoring it and you're staying there. And
I just had a vision of like the refugee camps, but the ones like in Palestine that have been around for like 20 or 30 years. They become these permanent structures. It's like we're a refugee from our lives, and then we're like, I guess I'll open a McDonald's. Like, right?
Yes.
So what do you say to people who are in that position where they're, maybe stuck in that void, and it seems like there's no way out? If you had a megaphone and you could reach into the void for everybody, and there was a PA announcement, like your high school principal, what would you
like,
put
it's
over
okay.
the Yeah.
It's totally going to be okay. Everything we want is on the other side of the void, and we have to go through our fear to get it. And I think that's the biggest thing, because fear is so challenging. I mean, I have faced like butt-trembling fear where, and you know what that is. If you have it, honestly, it's not fun, and you just want to run, and you totally believe that everything your mind and your fear is telling you is absolutely the truth, and we have a choice in that situation to choose to stay with our heart and go with what our heart wants rather than what our fear is telling us we can or cannot do. So I have a method that people can actually use, and it's in the book, to navigate the void and face their fears.
Okay, this is what I hear though from people, friends, clients. This is something that comes up is people say face your fears, but what I hear is that people want to do that like with a caveat or with like the lid on it. Like they don't want that to boil wide open because it feels like then things could get much worse.
Yeah.
So is there a way to face your fears but make it less scary?
Yes, there is. You can actually make fear a friend, which I know it sounds totally crazy, but there is a way to make fear an ally and actually allow yourself to hear what your fear is saying. I tell my clients that we imagine fear as this little child who's pulling on our coat and saying, hey, I just really want to be heard, because when we're not heard, you know how it feels when you're ignoring someone. And yeah, exactly. And so then it's like, hey, you're not listening to me. Your fear just wants to be heard, and it has some input, and you don't have to listen to it after you find out what it has to say, but you really have to stop and drop into your heart and say, okay, what is this about? Why am I so fearful right now? Listen to what it has to say, and then imagine it as a little child and say, it's okay, we're going to go forward, I totally got this, it's all good. It takes practice. This is not something that happens overnight. Obviously, we take years to build up these fears and start believing them over and over and over again. So it takes a long time before we're actually able to master this method that I have in the book. But it takes practice, and with practice, we get better and better each time.
So worth it.
Yeah.
I want to turn off the cameras and like tell you my fears and see if like, we can figure out what they're saying. If somebody wants to maybe get cozy with you and not have to figure this out on their own, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Oh my God, I would love that. If someone wants to create their own destiny roadmap and follow, where their heart wants to be, then they should definitely reach out to me by email. And that's Kelli, Kelli. Make sure that you include the I, because it's not normal, but Kelli. Well, it's not normal, right?
It's not normal, like you.
Exactly.
Kelli.
At KelliReese.com.
Kelli at KelliReese.com. You can also go to Amazon. Check out her book, The Destiny Roadmap. I said check out like it's a library, but I mean check out, like look at it and then press the buy with one click button. That's what I meant by check out. The Destiny Roadmap, the little guidebook to face your fears, embrace change, and discover your calling, by Kelli Reese. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thanks, you guys.